Good morning, guys. So I decided I'd just start the video instead of trying to figure out how to start it, because there's just so many different avenues of what's going on. At times it's hard to keep track of. So I made a little video just talking about how I am processing and transmuting some energy from an experience that I manifested through my reflection from within, pretty much. This is happening for everybody in the universe. A lot of people that are stuck in a lot of programs of doing what it is that they think they're supposed to be doing, for this, that, or the other reason, miss the connections that are going on, and recognizing like how something is trying to communicate with you in the now moment about something that is stuck from other now moments, if you will. I'm super nervous, it's just I'm releasing some energy, and me doing this is doing what I know Spirit's called me to do for a long time, but I had a lot of integrating to do, and identifying my reflection and trying to learn how to live as everything in existence and see how everything's speaking to me, including the trees. So here's the deal. Everything that happens in our life is reflecting something to us, something like really profound, and is our reflection in some way. If you can't quite pinpoint the way in which it is, just wait, sit and observe. See what it brings up inside of you, see the triggers that occur, and you can get to it. But I'm getting pretty good at this shadow work stuff. In my opinion, shadows are light anyway. They're just waiting for alchemization, if you will. So recently I had manifested a new roommate. I make a point to say yes to whatever I have manifested in front of me, no matter what it looks like, because I know it's trying to tell me something, and that I called it forth from some space in existence from this lifetime or another. But I've had so many experiences in this lifetime alone that left, like traumatic imprints and bonds to, some unhealthy thought patterns that help me identify all that. This roommate, I've noticed that few or most of the people that I call forth as roommates are people that had chosen the home free path, usually because, like me, they've been gifted with a lot of beautiful information and God-given gifts that unfortunately the world from a young age had classified as one label or another. Suffering from psychiatric stuff, hearing voices that people think aren't there, and seeing things that others can't see. All those things are actually there. And most of these people, actually all of them, are undergoing shamanic journeys, if you will, where they have to learn to identify what these voices are and distinguish between shadow and light, and learn the non-judgment and discerning, what to do in order to serve both energies and give them what it is that they are asking for at their core. So this roommate that I had brought forth into my reality not only, had gifts that they didn't know about, but she, like me, had struggled with a lot of physical ailments. I mean, cancer at a really young age, before 16. And when she showed up here, she was on dialysis. And she had just started pretty much the day she moved into my place. And she was going a few times a week. There were some things that I didn't know, I could sense. She had a boyfriend that treated her how she felt inside, based on her sense of worth after everything she'd gone through, and not alchemizing how it was there to serve her, and she was a writer, so she knew to a certain degree that everything she had learned and the things she was putting together, like me, needed to be at least put down somewhere, even if for our own later recollection as reminders. Anyway, her and I, over like several months, 3 to 4 months, you know, when she would come out and hang out with us, or me, which wasn't that often because she did kind of isolate herself in her room. And, you know, really, I'm going to try not to make this too long of a video, but we'd have lots of profound talks, and I was just being me like I am right now. And those who know me know that I'm 24/7 this being. I'm not putting on a show. I literally just spend most of my time sitting under a tree and pondering the divine connections of existence and just being in awe of it all. I'll try and get to the point. About a week ago, this lovely lady passed away in the room that she was renting from an accidental possible overdose of the medication that she receives from her doctors. She had just gone through a traumatic event with her boyfriend, who had been left to pay the debts that he created by hurting her. And unfortunately, none of it was in my home, because if it had been, I would have done what I could have, but I wasn't meant to do that, or I would have. You know, I knew that she was disempowered and that she didn't know herself, but all I did was just be myself in front of her, and she was literally watching me choose myself in my life and choose peace for me and choose to honor the gifts that I've been given in being able to transmute every single thing that's ever happened in my life into gold. You know, I understand at the greatest extent that I offered her a choice point, and I see that that happens with everybody in my life that comes in my life. I give them the truth that they've always been asking for and that their soul genuinely desires. But because their heart hasn't learned to integrate and heal the wounds, the programs run so much deeper than the wisdom. And the still small voice is really quiet, and they can't hear it over the loud rants of the aching heart. And everybody makes a choice in a moment on what they do with that. Now, as a little side note, not a lot of you know this about me, but it's time just to be real and straight out. When I was 28, my mom took her own life. And mind you, I was pretty wise back then, and a lot of times I was put in orphanages because the roles were reversed, and I was the mom and she was the kid, because I've always been me. You know, I've always carried the wisdom that I have, and have used it accordingly. But when she passed, one of the biggest wounds that I held was not being able to talk to her, because in that time of life I had chosen me and my 2-year-old daughter, and to focus my energy there, because it was time for me to grow up and time for her to figure things out. Unfortunately, a couple months later, she realized she couldn't figure things out, and I had this wound inside of me that made me feel like I wish I could have said something, and if I could have given her the wisdom that I have now. And by the way, I have. I've gotten plenty of messages personally and just in all sorts of different ways explaining that I am my mom. I'm everything in existence. So as I learn, so does she. But energy is energy, and when it's stuck, it's stuck. And in this experience, one of the tidbits of gold that I was able to pull from it is the chance that I had to sit down and counsel my friend and remind her who she was, and that the people that had given her all these labels and told her that there was something wrong with her were not correct. and to forgive them, for they knew not what they were doing. They don't know. And if we keep going around listening to all of these people and these voices in our heads that have forgotten who exactly it is we are and what life really is all about, there's so much going on. Just to throw a little extra tidbit in there was an experience I had in my house, and these sorts of things don't happen in my reality. So I was very quickly able to identify that I was transmuting some energy that was left in my house of a very disempowered woman. And I have never been in a fight in my entire existence. And there was a moment where, while I was asking somebody to be real and responsible with their own behaviors and identify that it's never anybody else's fault, because they were busy trying to say, oh, I reacted this way because this, that, and the other person was in a bad mood, and that ain't the place I live. We take 100% responsibility. Even if there's an instigator, that's them. How we react is our responsibility, and what we vomit on everybody around us is our responsibility. And in the process of trying to call that shadow out and speak to it, and I love dancing with shadows, I ended up being pushed into a corner, almost literally. And for the first time in my life, I punched somebody in the face. I can't even believe I did that. But everything in me knew that I was doing that for my roommate that didn't do that to the person that bullied her and made her feel disempowered. And that energy will not stay stuck in my place. I know who I am too much to allow anybody that is half asleep to try and dictate where the growth will happen or not happen. I am not a scapegoat for anybody avoiding their growth. And in fact, I am a light that can shine truth on the questions that people have and have had for many lifetimes. And I own that, and I honor that, and ain't nobody gonna be telling me what's really going on here. And I know that everything that's going on is a blessing, wrapped up in some pretty weird clothes sometimes. And this is what's going on in everybody's life. Everything that happens to us comes from within us. I don't care how gnarly the situation is. Go within. Figure out how you manifested that. How what you're looking at somehow dwells within you, or your resistance to it. Resistance ain't a thing. Whatever you resist will persist. So if you see something you don't like and you give it a whole bunch of fighting against it, you're just going to create more of it. It's not personal, it's spiritual. It's a universal law. So just watch every moment as you think and speak and act, and watch what happens after that, and watch who you pull into your existence, and watch when you need to create boundaries, and watch when you're called to say the things that you need to say and say them, how it profoundly makes a difference in the field in which you dwell. But this situation has woken me up to a degree where I know it's important to say what I'm here to say. I've known that for a long time, but I had a lot of stuff to clear out of the way, and I had to go through some initiations where I faced everything you could possibly think of willingly, wanting to see every piece of me and own it and love it and honor it. I'm only here to grow out loud. I love you guys.